What's going on, everybody? Car plug time. I am on the way to work. I just wanted to make a quick video about something that's been low-key irking me. Before I go on, make sure you like and comment and subscribe to Take It Home Podcast YouTube channel. Also to subscribe to the C3 Ultimate Wrestling, and also check out the website www.c3ultimatewrestling.com. Look at the roster, click and drag, look at all of that. Exclusive ticket sales for the show Kingdom Come September 18th. Gene Shepherd Community Center, Hammond, Indiana. Doors open 12:30. Showtime at 1 p.m. Alright, I go on my Facebook a lot, Chris Classic Williams, if you guys want to add me on Facebook. And I hear the debates about, the AEW, WWE. I give my 2 cents about certain things. So it was something that was said multiple times in a lot of these messengers and forums. And I'm showing my age by saying forum, but there was, a lot of people look at the ratings between like AEW and WWE. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, well, WWE, they have more higher ratings, but they appeal to a younger audience. And then AEW, their ratings apparently they go more towards the 18 through 39 demographic. So I made a post about the ratings and stuff like that, and then like the NXT and the Dynamite thing, and I brought up how Dynamite basically beat them in the ratings report. And a couple people commented, and then I was like, okay, I'm not gonna make a video about it. But then when I started like reading other comments from other topics, it was the same thing. The question of the day is, what is a fan, and what makes you more of a fan in wrestling than somebody else? What I'm saying is, the consensus is that if you are a younger fan who do not look on the internet, who does not comment about wrestling things, don't have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, if you're just a fan of wrestling and you watch it and then you go to sleep, or you go do your homework, or you do something, let's say less than 18 years, and you're not savvy with this kind of stuff, or a 5-year-old, let's say that, a 5-6-year-old, they're not going to go on the internet, they're not going to say, okay, this was awesome, and blah, 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 blah. So when you compare that to somebody, let's say 18 and up, my age, let's say, most of us, even people who aren't wrestlers, you guys know I'm a wrestler and a promoter, we look at dirt sheets sometimes, we look at spoilers, we look at Wikipedia, we look at information about a wrestler, we look at documentaries, we look at all of this stuff about a wrestler, we listen to podcasts, and we try to get an idea of who this person is. Does that make us a bigger fan of wrestling than a young child who does not partake in it? Because when it comes to talking about wrestling and the companies and stuff like that, a lot of people turn around and they say, oh, well, we're real fans because we know everything that's going on. And I'm like, that does not make you a bigger fan than a child. The biggest thing with wrestling as a child is, you're not worrying about politics. You may want your favorite wrestler to win, they might lose, and then you'll hope they'll come back, and you'll watch it, you'll hope they overcome. Just because you know the terminology that wrestlers and promoters use, or just because you're friends with a couple of wrestlers, just because you hang out with them, and I'm grateful who talk to me and stuff like that, that does not make you a bigger or a better fan than a child. I was a child once. I used to watch it all the time at my great-grandpa's house. I didn't leave and want to know anything backdoor. I believed everything that was portrayed, and a lot of kids still do to this day. Now, just because you know the ins and outs of wrestling, because a lot of wrestlers have conformed and told people exactly what's going on, you may have more knowledge of the business, but that does not mean that you are a bigger fan because you know a wrestler's real name, or you know where they come from, or you bought all their DVDs and stuff like that. Kids You know, they want a lot of the stuff. You know, with kids, let's say John Cena, for example, you know, biggest wrestling star out now besides, you know, and, you know, people, they want his merch, they want this stuff and all of that stuff. And, you know, a lot of the older people, they criticize, before he came back, you know, everybody heavily criticized Cena's push and also his moveset. They said he couldn't wrestle, he wasn't the best, and blah, 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 blah. Does that really make you a better wrestling fan because you feel like this person isn't a better wrestler than anybody else? No, it doesn't. It's an object of opinion. You know, it really is. But just because a child doesn't follow the person on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that, and does not exactly mean that you have more leeway of being a fan. That does not even mean that your opinion is more important than a 5-year-old who cares about the wrestling business. You get what I'm saying? Like, you cannot just simply say that kind of stuff. To me, that is incorrect, and that is also indirect. My children watch wrestling from time to time. I might know more about it, and I may contribute more than what they do, but if they become a fan, that does not mean that I'm a bigger fan or a better fan or I know what's right and stuff. See, a lot of people got to get out of that mindset that you know everything about wrestling. I do not know everything about wrestling. As a promoter, as a booker, as someone who talks about wrestling a lot, I don't know everything about wrestling. I do feel like I know how to carry myself in the wrestling world professionally. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and argue because a kid may have more knowledge of the business than somebody that's older or whatever like that. And I just think that's just the worst misconception is to think just because you know a lot of stuff about wrestling and the behind the scenes and the VIP passes, that does not make you a bigger or better fan than a child. We all have to stop that. You know, wrestling can be territorial sometimes, and that's very ridiculous to me because none of these wrestlers belong to me. They don't belong to you. They don't belong to anybody. But the good Lord, that's another topic. But yeah, that's it. That's it. It's just 7-8 minute video about that. You know, just because you like a certain product and somebody else, a child may like another one more than what you like, that does not mean that you have more leeway or you're right. You're entitled to your opinion. The child is entitled to their opinion. You know, let's just enjoy wrestling. And a lot of people are saying I'm comparing it, but no, I'm not. I talk about both of them. Honestly, I talk about my product. I talk about other products, you know. That's my opinion. But am I going to say, like, I know that I'm a better fan or bigger fan? No, I'm not going to. I was a child. And I'm sure they had people that were older back then when I was a child. They probably felt that they were a bigger fan. And I just slightly disagree. That was it. This is The Post. This is Chris Classic. Let's take it home.